when people don't have common sense, don't have an understanding of what's going on.
And I would like to bring up, if I might, Governor Sarah Palin. Special person. Thank you.
You holy rollers! All you with the hands that rock the cradle. You all make the world go round, and now our cause is one.
What I've decided to do for the 100th anniversary of Vegematic is run some old clips, some new clips, some stuff that I can put together without having to make new content. It's the great privilege of living to 100 episodes. You can show stuff that people have forgotten all about, like this.
You know, get out of the way and let corporations do whatever they want. Let their, big donors do whatever they want.
I don't want to appear paranoid, but a year ago, if somebody had told me that Donald Trump would be the president, I would have said, "Oh, you're just being paranoid."
Every day since that night in 08 when I was on stage nominated for VP, and I got to say, yeah, I'll go, send me, you betcha, I'll serve. And like you all, I'm still standing. How about the rest of us? Right-wing and bitter clinging proud clingers of our guns, our God, and our religions and our Constitution. Tell us that we're not red enough? Yeah, coming from the establishment, right.
Well, good evening, my YouTube friends. Good to see you all again. So, Joseph Crosby Meacham left a comment and said that I was rambling, unscripted, and a waste of his time. Fine, but did you have to waste more of your time by posting a comment that it was a waste of your time? Just wondering.
I have the best plan. 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 I have the best plan.
I'd like to thank my friend, that darn Robbo, from the waste island of Montreal, where I grew up, and he has a radio show, Van Cleek FM, and vancleekfm.com. I'll leave the link down below for you, and it's a very interesting mixture of you have to listen to it, okay? He's really got some kind of obscure local Montreal rock from the 60s and 70s that you'll not hear anywhere else, and you might not want to hear some of it anywhere else, but it's really interesting, particularly for those of us who grew up in that era. So that darn Robbo, thanks for sending me the link to your show, and even if it's links are, I guess, verboten now, I somehow found episode, what is it here, 37, the Sanctuary Lounge, and I thank you for using me in your intro. It was very amusing.
People are talking about changes to our comment policy here at Google+.
Fuck you, Google! Fuck Google! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Today's topic, billionaires. We love them. They're viewed as the pinnacle of success, right? But there's no reason, rationally, we should be okay with or admire the fact that the Koch brothers have $44 billion, or that the 6 heirs of the Walmart fortune have $100 billion. The same amount of wealth as the bottom 40% of America, 125 million people. These people are psychopaths. They're not any more fit for society than the guy who kidnaps neighborhood dogs and has them lick peanut butter off his balls. In fact, they're actually less qualified for society because at least Mr. Nutterbutter is making dogs happy.
Finally had the courage today to go to my inbox and start reading some of the comments. I like to save them up, and there's some really nice ones this week, as well as a few, well, less than nice. But I do not ever take comments down. So if you put a comment and it doesn't show up, it's not my fault. There's nothing I can do about it. So being the inquisitive sort of guy I am, after giving a listen to that darn Robbo's show, which is called Sightlines, I looked up Van Cleek Hill because I sort of vaguely remember that name in my head, Van Cleek FM. Well, it's right on the border, and it's sort of halfway between Montreal and Ottawa. I think closer to Montreal, actually. And I used to get great cheese curds at a place right near there. I remember this from years ago. And that was before poutine was even invented. So I found out also that Van Cleek Hill is the gingerbread capital of Canada. And initially, everybody thinks about the gingerbread cookies. No, the gingerbread is a type of old-fashioned architecture where it would be, fret sawed out on all the old Victorian houses and over decoration and things. They had lots of time then to do shit like that. So it must be a really, really attractive town. I might have passed through there, but it could have been the middle of the night. I might have been indulged in recreational activities at the time and not noticed. It's all fuzzy, but so I am going to continue to plug Sightlines with that darn Robbo. And if you want to know a bit about me, Chris, and who I am, then look up that darn Robbo's YouTube channel. And if you're not, you're not from the waste island of Montreal, and you probably won't get as much out of it as I did, but it certainly explains a lot, my thought processes and the era with which I grew up in. And I'd like to also to really thank him for the Maples Inn, the a brief history of the Maples Inn in Point Claire, which brought back many, many memories, fuzzy though they are. I do remember, though, that I discovered that this was the big secret in the 70s. I didn't have a lot of money. I was just a kid, and I would hang out at the Mapes, and there was, various combustibles were available there. It was sort of a marketplace. And sometimes you would not have any, and you'd go there and think, well, and somebody would say, here, come on over here. We're doing something over here. And yeah, well, this one night I went down there and I was broke and I couldn't believe it. I'd spent all my money on riotous living and was looking for something to breathe in, to ease the pain a little bit. And nobody I knew was around. It was dead. So I went down by the lake shore to where everybody used to go. And being empty, I looked down and there were roaches everywhere. Tons of roaches just lying there. And I went, I think I'm onto something here. So I started picking them up and emptying them out and picking them up and emptying them out. I'm like, holy shit, look at all this. Look at all this. It's a mixture. I'm not sure quite what it is you're smoking, but man, did it get us high. But it was ruined because I blabbed about how I had found this secret stash of, weed, and it was by the lake, and soon there were roach hunters crawling over the places, and the roach hunting was never the same again after that. That was the Maples Inn. That was the 1970s. I've learned a lot since then. Yeah, I have. Honestly.
Advertise all this stuff. You've got to make the people in charge of these bridges economically responsible for their degradation, otherwise it's not going to work. So what happens to these jobs, these employed Americans, after the program ends? If it ever ends. It doesn't concern him. I mean, he's not going to live forever. US had to go to the much more. US had to go to the
And what's going to happen if we don't elect a Donald Trump or a Ted Cruz or a Rand Paul? Because it looks like all over the world, the left is going full totalitarian.
I believe that health care is a right, not a privilege.
Full totalitarian.
What we are going to do is provide jobs and education for our kids, not more jails and incarceration.
Full totalitarian.
We can no longer continue to have a corrupt campaign finance system.
Full totalitarian.
So you have this choice between corporatism and fascism. Extreme corporatism on the one hand, and both candidates are pathological liars, and I would challenge anybody to call me out on that. They are both pathological liars. Personality disorders. Both are narcissists.
And they don't appreciate any of it. They don't know that communism is slavery.
Now I'm trying to respond to everybody's comments, but I do have a life such as it is, and a lot of times your comments mysteriously vaporize into the ether, and I don't understand why. But this is the society we are living in. So I wonder how, okay, CNN and the New York Times and the Washington Post and all those big old establishment media giants have made their bed in a lot of ways. They pushed Trump. They ignored Sanders. I remember about this time last year, Bernie was drawing huge crowds and outdrawing every other candidate in either the Republican or Democratic primary. And total crickets, media silence, blackout. CNN did this. MSNBC did this, the Washington Post, the New York Times. So, in a sense, they're reaping what they have sowed. It's a disaster. Everything's a disaster. The Democratic Party's in shambles. The Republicans are intent on destroying what is left of government. This is insane. It's some kind of libertarian post-apocalyptic nightmare.
So is it true Caterpillar is reducing your salary and benefits by more than 50%, or that's what they're after?
That's what they're after. That's what the final offer, non-negotiable offer was. Yeah, they come in, we make about $34 an hour. They're offering us $16, which is a little more than 50% pay cut. And that means benefits, pensions, everything's going to be off the board.
Do you believe the government should come down on Caterpillar and demand our tax money back?
Yeah, I think they should at least be held accountable as to where their tax dollars are headed and being used. That's for sure. As far as we know, Caterpillar's gotten some money for some equipment that never actually made it to this building. It made it to the building down the street.
Well, here we are going off to the protest, day of action, and this is kind of the economy we're dealing with at the moment. The empty stores and the fast cash for gold say it all.
And thank you for supporting the electromotive workers, their families, their children, their grandchildren, the thousands of them who over 62 years have given their blood, sweat, and tears to that pledge.
Power of the people, man.
Just wanna get back like this is a thing.
Isn't it curious that the alt-right has coined the term snowflakes? And I don't know where this came from, but I have some ideas if you're interested. The Nazi SS guards at Treblinka and lovely places like Auschwitz and various other vacation retreats across Europe would call the ashes from the crematoriums snowflakes. So I just thought I'd throw that out there and wonder if perhaps that was their intention all along. Nothing surprises me. You see that creep Stephen Miller? He just makes my flesh crawl. Or Trumpet CPAC. God, you people are insane. It's all fake, it's all fake, it's all fake. Well, yeah, there's a lot of fake news, and it sure as hell has been proven during the primaries. And so now you've got, this is what happens when media has been allowed to consolidate to such a degree that now you have the Democratic media and the Republican media, both propaganda outlets, and nobody believes anything anymore, so you can bullshit them about everything. So how easy it is for Trump to shut down the press when they've already done his work for them over the last year, rigging the primaries, giving him billions of dollars of free publicity and everything. And now they're shocked that he's trying to shut down voices of opposition. This guy is a tin pot dictator, and he's got doing these classic signs of shutting down a society and consolidating power, shutting off the criticism of the press. This is happening very, very fast, and they're trying to do it so fast that people will already be ensnared by the time they get out to protest. And if there isn't massive, sustained protests and civil disobedience, then he will further consolidate power, further shut things down, and the prognosis is very, very grim.